Imagine standing in the heart of chaos, flames roaring around you, and the very people who mocked you now look at you as their only hope. What would you do? Today, we're diving into an extraordinary story about courage, redemption, and transformation. One that will leave you questioning everything about human resilience and forgiveness. Meet Lila. She was 29, working a steady desk job, and quietly battling the invisible weight of relentless bullying about her size. Every day at work was manageable but uninspiring, a series of repetitive tasks that left her yearning for something more. She found small joys in her life, like her love for painting and her weekend rituals of walking her dog through the park. But there was always a shadow, the cruel words and judgment she faced about her body, even from strangers. The gym was her sanctuary, or at least it was supposed to be, but every visit came with whispers, laughter, and sidelong glances from a group of fit, picture-perfect influencers who treated her like she didn't belong. These were the same people who posted motivational captions on their social media, but couldn't muster an ounce of kindness in real life. Still, Lila kept showing up. She'd lace up her sneakers, pull her hoodie over her head, and step onto the treadmill with her favorite playlist blaring in her headphones. She wasn't there to impress anyone or to fit into a mold society set for her. She was there to honor her health and reclaim her joy. Now let's pause. Have you ever felt out of place somewhere you were trying to improve yourself? That's Lila's reality every single day. But here's the thing about Lila. She was stronger than even she realized. It was a Thursday evening, and the gym was unusually packed. The hum of cardio machines and clatter of weights filled the air. Lila was wrapping up her cool-down, wiping the sweat from her face, when she smelled something faint but acrid. At first, she thought it might just be a burned-out light or faulty equipment. But then, she saw it. Smoke curling from under a door marked "Staff Only." Seconds later, an ear-piercing alarm shattered the air. Panic erupted like a tidal wave. People screamed, dropped their weights, and scrambled for the exits. The fire moved fast, too fast for anyone to think clearly. Lila stood frozen for a moment, her heart pounding as adrenaline surged through her veins. Her first instinct was to run, to follow the crowd rushing toward the main exit. But something stopped her. The smoke thickened, and her mind raced with 1,000 thoughts. This can't be real, she told herself. But it was real, and the smell of burning plastic and wood made that undeniable. As Lila made it halfway to the main exit, she heard faint cries for help. She turned and looked through the haze. Her stomach sank when she saw them. It was her bullies, 3 of them, trapped in the corner by fallen debris. They were coughing, terrified, and utterly helpless. For a moment, Lila's feet felt glued to the floor. Every memory of their cruel remarks flooded back. The snide comments, the laughter at her expense, the way they'd made her feel invisible, or worse, like a joke. Why should I risk myself for them? She thought. But then another thought pushed its way to the surface. Because it's the right thing to do. And in that moment, Lila had a choice to make. Save herself, or turn back for the people who made her life miserable. What would you have done? Against every instinct screaming for self-preservation, Lila turned back. She grabbed a towel, drenched it in water from a nearby dispenser, and tied it around her face. Step by step, she pushed through the growing smoke, her eyes stinging and lungs burning. Her mind screamed at her to retreat, but her heart refused to let her. When she reached the bullies, they were in worse shape than she'd thought. One of them, a blonde named Ashley, was clutching her ankle, unable to stand. The other 2, Brandon and Kayla, were coughing uncontrollably, their once pristine gym gear now streaked with soot. Their faces flashed with shock when they saw Lila, and something else. Guilt, recognition. She didn't have time to analyze. "We're getting out of here," she said firmly, her voice steady despite the chaos. They nodded, their fear swallowing any pride or resistance. Step by step, Lila helped them navigate through the gym's labyrinth of toppled equipment and blinding smoke. At one point, a flaming beam collapsed in front of them, blocking their path. Lila's quick thinking, using a heavy bench to clear the debris, was the only reason they made it through. Here's a question. What would have happened if Lila hadn't been there? It makes you wonder about the strength we underestimate in others, doesn't it? The fire raged with a fury no one had anticipated. Lila's muscles ached and her lungs burned with every breath, but she refused to give up. They were so close to the exit now, but the path seemed to stretch endlessly. The sounds of the fire, the crackling flames, the groaning of collapsing beams filled her ears. Just as they reached the final stretch, Brandon tripped over a fallen dumbbell, sending him sprawling. The group halted, panic surging anew. Lila turned back, her arms trembling as she hauled him to his feet. "You've got this," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they stumbled into the crisp night air. The fire department arrived minutes later, rushing to contain the blaze. The four of them sat on the curb, wrapped in blankets, coughing and gasping but alive. The gym behind them was engulfed in flames, the damage catastrophic. As the adrenaline began to fade, the reality of what had just happened sank in. Ashley looked at Lila, her eyes brimming with tears. "Why?" she whispered. "Why did you come back for us?" Lila's response was simple but profound. "Because no one deserves to be left behind." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. In that moment, something shifted. The barriers of judgment and cruelty that had once defined their relationship began to crumble. Word of Lila's heroism spread quickly. The local news hailed her as a hero. But for Lila, the real victory wasn't the headlines. It was the quiet transformation of her relationships. The bullies, once so cruel, became her allies. Ashley, Brandon, and Kayla apologized, not just with words, but with actions. They invited Lila to join them in group workouts, offered encouragement, and even defended her when others tried to judge her unfairly. But here's the part no one expected. This wasn't just a story about saving lives. It was a story about saving hearts. And it started with one brave decision. So, what's the takeaway? Lila's story reminds us that courage isn't about size, strength, or popularity. It's about heart. And sometimes, the greatest transformations happen in the most unexpected moments. Ask yourself, who might you be underestimating? Or even better, who might you have the power to lift up today? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. And remember, the world needs more people like Lila.